What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin Prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live. Happy Friday, TGIF, everybody. Let's go. Doing this one super early today, and that's okay. And that's okay. Doing super early today because we got shit to do today. Gonna be stay-at-home dadding again. Day 4. Actually, though, I just remember that Jessica's today off, thankfully. I just had like a big sense of relief that we're not solo dadding it today, so that's cool. Yeah, let's go. But yeah, guys, hopefully you're having a good day so far. As you are tuning in, let me know how your day is going. Feel free to give this video a like. Helps with the algorithm, helps other people see this who might need to see this or want to see this or get value from it. And if you're watching this at a later time, hashtag replay. But while we are getting things rolling this morning. Tell me a win in the chat. Tell me a win. What is a win that you had this week that you're really like excited about? I know it's not Wednesday. I know it's not Winning Wednesday, but I would like to hear a win, no matter how big or small or how insignificant you think it is. Sharing that shit can really help set your day up for success and help you focus on the good shit going on in your day to day. But guys, today we're gonna be talking about why your weight fluctuates from morning till night. Because guess what? It's early enough in the morning right now for most people, especially on the West Coast. If you are, still at home and you haven't worked out yet, or you haven't gone to work yet, um, weigh yourself this morning. Weigh yourself this morning because I guarantee you're going to weigh more this evening than you did this morning. And I'm going to talk about that today, why that is, because a lot of times people get so hung up on the scale, what the scale says, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of times they're weighing themselves at the wrong time of the day, too. Like you're weighing yourself at the wrong time of the day because it changes throughout the day. It changes a lot. Honestly, like it can change quite a bit. And I'm going to talk about why and how much. And not only from morning till night, and I've talked about this in the past, your weight will fluctuate from day to day, from week to week. From month to month. And the main thing that you want to focus on are trends, right? The trends. Like, and as long as you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be freaking doing, if you're following your game plan, if you're following the plan properly, you've got that confidence that you're like doing the right shit. Like, you're heading in the right direction, especially if the trends are going the right way or your plan needs to be updated essentially. But yeah, guys, so weight fluctuations. So it's no like a lot of times people wonder like they'll weigh themselves, like there's some people sometimes they'll weigh themselves multiple times in a day, and when they do that, like they'll stress themselves out like crazy. They'll weigh themselves in the morning, they're like, oh god, and they'll weigh themselves in the evening, like, oh my gosh, like I gained all this weight and stuff like that. But did you know that the average person weight fluctuates anywhere from like 2 to like 6 pounds a day, right? 2 to 6 pounds a day, and it also depends on um, how big of a person you are in the first place, because like the larger you are, the like larger that number can actually be, just because it's like proportionately speaking, it can shift. And so like right now, if you weigh yourself this morning, I pretty much guarantee you'll at least be 2 pounds heavier this tonight. And why is that? Why is that? No need to get stressed out. There's nothing wrong with you. It's completely normal. And the sooner that you normalize it, the sooner you're gonna like get out of your own head and quit self-sabotaging yourself long term. Um, it comes down to there's a couple of different things that influence our weight on a day to day, but the main difference is fluid shifting, and then food. Fluid shifting, and what I mean by fluid shifting is your body's intake, your input or your output of water, like how much water your body's got stored and how much it's losing. What's up, Barbie? How's it going? And so, you wake up in the morning, guess what? When you wake up in the morning, that's pretty much like for most people, unless you don't drink water all day and you're out in the hot sun and things like that, that's probably the most dehydrated your body is during the day. It's probably the most dehydrated your body is during the day, unless you've been out and being active and you're running around and shit like that. That's probably the most dehydrated. You know why? Because the whole night you're not eating anything, you're not drinking anything, and your body's just laying there in a state of rest and it's respirating. It's breathing. And if you're like me, sometimes you might sweat in your sleep too, and so it could be from sweat. Your body loses water, fluid shifting. So you drink water, you gain weight from the water. You go about your day like doing your own thing, bodily functions, like you go take a piss, like you're breathing, you're respirating, you're losing water every time you breathe. And if you sweat, like you're sweating it out, like those things impact how much water your body has in it at any given time. And when you wake up in the morning, you probably have the least amount of food in your body unless you have a big meal at night. I do sometimes, so I have a big meal at night sometimes, and so that might not be as accurate for me. But like, for most people, they might not have a giant meal right before bed, and so like your body has like utilized some of the food as energy. It's been repairing itself. You've been breathing all night. Like if you meet like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll feel like I've got like sand in my mouth because I'm just so like dehydrated. I'm like, and I also sometimes fall asleep with my mouth open. But that we're not going to talk about that. But you fall asleep and you're breathing and you wake up and you're like, man, like I'm freaking thirsty. There's a reason for that. Your body's been like dehydrating itself overnight, and so in the mornings, that is the best time to weigh yourself. In the morning, I make my clients whenever they weigh themselves. Morning, no clothes because your clothes can impact how much you weigh in a day too. No clothes. After you've gone to the bathroom, don't drink anything, don't eat anything. Before all that, weigh yourself and do that consistently, same time every day, and that's going to help you identify these trends over time in terms of what direction your weight is going. Okay, does that make sense? Like, if you're watching this right now, like, let me know, like, if that makes sense. And so, why is this important? Like, on a day to day, like, why am I even talking about this? Because a lot of times people wonder, like, am I gaining like weight? Am I gaining fat in the day? Like, oh my gosh, like, and they get in their head and they self sabotage, like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not losing weight, blah 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 blah. Chill the fuck out. Like, basically, just chill the fuck out. Like, your body fluctuates and it's normal and it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to do that because it makes sense, right? Like, if I'm just hanging out here and I wake up in the morning and I weigh a certain amount, and then I walk into my kitchen right now and I drink a glass of water, that water doesn't weigh nothing, right? That water weighs something. It has a weight to it, right? And guess where that weight goes? Into my body. If I go and eat something, guess what? That food is in my body and it weighs something. It doesn't just like, a lot of times I feel like people, whenever they're like going throughout the day, they don't think about this stuff. They just like eat the food or they drink the water or whatever, and they're like, huh, yep, it's just gone. It went into it doesn't exist anymore. Like, no, like everything has mass and everything has like is energy and mass. And if you're drinking and eating food, you're adding energy and mass to your body throughout the day. So you're gonna weigh more, right? You're gonna weigh more. It's not fat, right? It's not fat yet, anyways. The water weight's definitely not fat, and the food probably won't be fat either. Yeah. I see a comment makes sense. I'm also a type 1 diabetic. Okay. And then Barbie says, yes, I always weigh that way first thing in the morning and measure body stats. Exactly. Exactly. Because it fluctuates a shit ton. Like, there have been days where I had a big meal, I drank a shit ton of water, and I was like up like 11, 12 pounds in a day. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I'm glad I know what's going on here because otherwise I'd probably be freaking the fuck out. Like guys, like this is just part of the process. This is part of it. And so, like, water fluctuations can impact it. And water, like the fluid situation, like the fluid shifting, that can also be impacted by salt intake. Like if you're consuming a lot of salt or not enough salt, like there's a balance there that can impact that too. Maybe you're dehydrated. Maybe you're usually most people, like almost no one is overhydrated, but it could happen in theory. But that could happen. Alcohol consumption, like if I drink like shit, like even if I have one, two, or three drinks, my weight is like messed up for like 3 days. My water, like I'm bloated. Like I'll have like a fluctuation in my weight that will like happen. It will impact me for 3 days after, where I'll be like three, maybe sometimes even 4 pounds heavier than I normally would be. And I know in my mind it's not like fat, but it's just like water weight, and it's like that number is consistently higher if you're drinking. Like, and it impacts different people in different ways. Sometimes when I've drank, I'm like 3 pounds under because I'm super dehydrated. It just depends on like how much you drank, what kind you drank, like how much water you had, like all that shit, inflammation, like all that shit can impact it. But alcohol, that's a big one too. That not a lot of people think about, and they're going about their day, like and you go out and have a couple drinks with your friends, and then you weigh in for your check-in day or whatever it may be, and you're like, shit, I didn't lose any weight, like, and I've been doing everything right. I mean, yeah, you're doing everything right, but the alcohol can be impacting that shit. Even though you might have less fat on your body than you did last week, but the weight that you're carrying right now, it's you're being impacted by the alcohol still, or the salt intake, or the food, or the water. Like all these things play a role in this, but you can't add mass to your body throughout the day and be surprised at the end of the day when your weight is up. Like that's part of it, and it's normal and it's okay. So don't freak out about it and don't like self sabotage and be like, what's the point, and like hit the fuck it button, because that's the worst thing you can freaking do. I see a comment: bloating from PMS can change my weight quite a bit too. Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm glad that you mentioned that because, um, yeah, ladies, like your menstrual cycle is going to fuck with your weight. It's going to cause such a big and dramatic weight fluctuation. It's not fat, right? Like menstrual cycles, menopause, like hormones in general, do not directly cause weight gain, right? It is not fat gain. Let me preface that. Do not directly cause like an increase in fat, right? Oftentimes, what happens, what most of the time happens for people is that your weight fluctuates. It goes up like crazy during hormones because there's inflammation. The hormone fluctuations can cause an increase in water weight, bloating, things like that. Like you all, like you've all been living that probably for at least like 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Like I don't have to explain it to you ladies. You guys know. But that can impact your weight on like every every 3 or 4 weeks comes around and boom, like you're up like 5 pounds, sometimes 10 pounds depending, and it's normal and that's okay. Like you're not gaining fat during those periods of time. It's just water weight. It's inflammation. It's fluctuations that are normal. Oftentimes too, your bowels get messed up. Sorry, just throwing it out there. Like a lot of times women get constipated when they're on a menstrual cycle. I'm not gonna shy away and not talk about it because those are important things to mention. Like because your like body is like things aren't moving like how they should be sometimes, and you're full of food, right? And that can impact your weight as well. So menstrual cycle, that's a big thing that impacts that. And then in turn, and then the other thing too, like oftentimes like if you do gain weight from it or if you do gain fat from it, it's typically due not to the hormones themselves or the like women magically gain fat from their period or women magically gain fat from like menopause or anything like that. It's related to, they've done some meta-analyses on this stuff, some studies on this stuff, and they've shown like it's it's due to a lower amount of activity typically because you feel like shit, right? You feel like shit whenever you're on your period. You feel like shit when you're going through menopause. And so guess what? You're probably less likely to be active because you feel like crap and you're probably like, I need to like lay down and like chill the hell out and relax. And so you're not moving around as much. And if you're eating the same amount of food, and sometimes it can cause cravings. So if you're eating more of the bad food and you're going on over on your calories, it all comes down to the energy balance, right? It all comes down to the energy balance where you're like, you're either not moving as much, so your body doesn't need as many calories as it's eating, so you're gaining weight from that potentially, or you're eating more foods that you shouldn't be eating because you feel like shit and you're craving them, and so that's why you're also gaining weight. Just a little side tangent, but just throwing it out there. But yeah, like menstrual cycle can impact your weight a shit ton, not fat wise, but water weight wise. Again, these things impact it. That's more on like the weekly scale or the monthly scale rather than the day to day. But one thing that you can do to track that, if you're listening right now and you're like, how, and like that sucks. Like my weight's just going to be up randomly every month by like 5 to 10 pounds. Yeah, it is. But what you can do is not only track your week to week, but you can also track your menstrual cycle weight, like the day that you're on your menstrual cycle for that week, and track that trend month to month. And if it's going down as well, then you're in the right place. And at the end of the day, do not let those three numbers on the scale dictate how you value yourself. Like your weight does not define your worth. And also on top of it, it's not about the number. It's how you feel and how you like, how close you are to your like own personal goal or aesthetic or whatever it is that you're wanting to go for, right? Energy levels, like those non-scale victories. That's what's most important. So Barbie says makes total sense. Hell yeah, good deal, good deal. So yeah, so this is why your weight fluctuates day to day, morning to night, like week to week. It's this like it's the input and the output that your body's kind of going through on a day to day. It's the food that you're consuming, the salt, the water, how active you are, how much you're breathing, like all of it. Our bodies are like a system, right? Our bodies are a system that are trying to find an equilibrium, and throughout the day, it can shift. It can shift, and just if you start viewing your body as kind of like an environment or an ecosystem or like a system or like a machine, right? It's like I insert food and I get this much energy from it, and I'm doing this much energy, so it's an output, like, or I'm drinking this much water. That weight has to go somewhere. It's not just gonna like disappear into nothingness. Like everything like has an equal and opposite like reaction, right? So like you're drinking water, that water's in your body just kind of like chilling, and it's doing its thing in there. Same thing with like food. Same thing with like glycogen. That's another thing that can change. That's what something that a lot of times when people go on keto diets, like that gets impacted a lot because you're not consuming carbs anymore, and so your body drops big time and like drops weight big time. But it's not fat that you're losing. It's just water and glycogen, which is just stored glucose, which is stored carbs. So when you eat like an excess of like not in excess, but like our body has a certain amount of like carbs that it can store in our body at any given time. So that way, like if we're like we don't have like sugar readily available to us, we can still run and like have energy to like do something or a task or something like that, and still like be able to do it and perform because it's stored in our bodies. And whenever you go on keto and you don't eat carbs to replenish that, that depletes. And so, and glycogen is a lot of water and a lot of carbs. And so whenever you start keto, like it goes away over time. And so that's why people lose weight so quickly from that too. But it's not fat, and you feel like crap. So, anyways, other than that though, I like the analogy of the body being an ecosystem. Yeah, it is. It's just about balances. Like it's about balances. Like if you eat more food than your body needs, you're gonna gain weight. If you eat less than it needs, you're gonna lose weight. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day, guys. So, hope you got value from this, though. Please let me know your freaking number one takeaway in the comments. Give this video a like, and I hope that this helped big time. I'm gonna go help get my kid ready. Gonna make some more eggs for breakfast. He's been on those eggs with ketchup, man. It's crazy. But I hope that you guys got value from this. And feel free to share this, give it a like, tag somebody in the comments if you feel like they would get value from it as well. And yeah, stop beating yourself up because you weigh more in the evening versus the morning, or you weigh more one day than the other. If you're doing the right thing, you're eating the right amount of food and calories and macros, and you're working out and you're being active and you're following the plan like properly. If you have a plan, like you're okay. Like stay the course, trust the process. Stop getting in your own way. Stop getting in your own head. Stop self sabotaging because like it helps. It does. The only person that hurts is you. So just like yeah, think about that next time. So cool. And also feel free to weigh yourself this morning and then weigh yourself this evening and see what the difference is. And think about what I've talked about today in terms of like, oh, what did I eat today? Or like, oh, I just drank a bunch of water. Like I'm about to go drink a bunch of water and put on like a pound like real quick because I'm thirsty as shit. So other than that, I will talk to you all later. Have a good one, and I hope that this made sense. Happy Friday. Have a good ass weekend, and I'll talk to you all later. See ya.